next thing you may want to create is a histogram so that you can see how spread your data is. We're going to be doing a histogram on the shoe size data that we were already using. It doesn't matter that it's in order. The calculator really doesn't care if the data is in order or not. Okay, since we're making an actual graph, we're going to need to add a new page to create that graph on. So I'm going to go Control Doc, add a new graph, but not a graph page, but a data and statistics page, because we want to graph our data. So I'm doing number 5, and the usual scatter plot points appear, but this time you're only going to change the label on the x-axis. We're going to change it to shoe size. And already when the dots move, that's what they call it, a dot plot. Sometimes they used to call it a line plot. It really is almost a histogram already. But I want it to be bars. I'm not going to set the y-axis. I'm going to go to Menu, and I want to change it to a different kind of plot. So you'll notice number 1 says plot type. And I want a histogram, number 3. Okay, you'll see the points move up, and we get bars. The problem is it's graphing each number as a separate bar. I really didn't want that. I just kind of wanted to see my shoe sizes grouped together. So I would like to change this so my bars go from 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 14, so that I have larger bars. Okay, to do that, you have to, of course, go tell it to make some changes in the graph. And this is fairly well hidden, unfortunately. So, of course, you're going to go Menu. What we're wanting to change is the properties of this graph. So we're going to number 2, Plot Properties. And you'll see it has highlighted histogram properties. It's guessing for us, and that's correct. We want number 2 again. Okay, and this is going to take getting used to, but what I want to change are what are called the bin settings. The bins are how wide the bars are. They're called the bins. So I'm going to number 2, bin settings. I want mine to all be equal width. So I'm choosing number 1, equal width. And then I want to tell it how wide do I want those bars to be. Well, I wanted my bars 6 to 8, 8 to 10, so that's 2 units wide, so I'm changing the width to 2. The alignment is where do I want the bars to start. Well, why would I want the bars to start at 5.75? It's not even a possible shoe size. So no, I would not want that. Instead, I would like the alignment to start at 6, because that's where my first shoe size starts. You don't have to tell it any more than that. It'll space them out based on how much data is there. So we simply say, okay, and you'll see that it has indeed spread my bars out. But I have some issues. Now they're so spread, I can't see the whole histogram. So I need to make some changes in the scaling of the histogram. This is normal changes in your window settings. So we're going to go, and actually before we do this, we probably should look. You'll notice the last bar, it's going from 14 to 16, so I know I'm going to have to get out to the 16 range. I don't really know, well actually I do know, if you notice I'm pointing to the middle bar here, the tallest bar, whatever bar you point to it shows you. It's telling me up at the top there were 9 points in there, so I know that I need my bars at least 9 high. So when I go to do my window settings, Menu, Window, Window Settings, I'm telling it I want to adjust. It's automatically leaving a little space down here to the left so that it starts at 5.25. That's fine, or you can start it at 6. But I wanted the high side. That bar is going to at least 16, so I need it to go up to 16. You could go a little over 16 if you wanted. The other thing it's going to let me change is how tall my bars can be. Well, I know I have data that's at least 9 points high, so I'm going to change my Y max to something over 9. I'm going to go 10. So that I can actually get my bars on screen. I'm going to hit OK, and there is my scatter plot. Excuse me, my histogram. And you'll notice that it, unfortunately I can't get out of my graph here. Oh, why? No, it won't. There, it won't let me move. And you'll see that I have a nice histogram, and I can see the breakdown in my data. If you want to see how many items are in each bar, you can do so by going to Menu, Analyzing it, and at the very, very bottom, the very last choice, Graph Trace, letter A, you'll notice it's now highlighting this bar and telling me it goes from 6 to 8,000, and there are 2 points in it. The next bar goes 8 to 10,000 and has 6 points, then 6 points, 3 points, and 1 point. So you can just move through there, or you can move your cursor to each bar and point to the bars and be able to see how many are in each range. And you can get a nice histogram. Okay, now we also need to go back and talk a moment about the fact histograms. If you recall back on my very first page, I had some histograms drawn at the bottom. That's because we have to remember which kinds of data are best for which situations. And if you recall, since we said mean is the one that is most affected by extreme values, mean doesn't like wild values. Mean likes things packed to the center. So if you have a histogram that's fairly central with a high point in the middle, you would want to use, say, mean is your best measure of central tendency. If your data is skewed, as this second graph is, we would say this second graph is skewed to the right because it's forming a long tail on the right-hand side. If it's skewed, mean is going to get thrown off, and median is your better choice. So the first one is packed nicely to the middle. Mean would be best. The second one is skewed. Median is best. And the third one is just totally and completely random. Once again, median is best. Mean is only good if it's packed to the center. Now, going with them are certain measures of variation. Standard deviation, due to the fact that it uses mean and calculates similar to mean, is also thrown off by wild values, so we prefer it to be center packed. If you've got median going on, it's better then to analyze your data with quartiles rather than trying to do standard deviation. And same thing here, as far as when you're measuring doing measures of variation. So, in the middle, mean and standard deviation. Virtually anything else, you're better off with median and quartiles.